Hello, I'm Joe. Welcome back to my channel, Lords of the Fly. I'm going to be very clear that I've asked the Holy Spirit to be my CEO in this YouTube endeavor, and no matter what the analytics show or the amount of understanding I have or have not about how to do YouTube, I'm just going to give it my best shot and let God take all the surplus accountability and work it out according to his Holy Spirit. I'm trusting God. I surrender all of my efforts to him, and I'm just going to do the best I can to create good content. I've created 3 playlists to that extent. And the playlist I'm going to put this video on is my eBay playlist because it has to do with the twice monthly fill-a-bag sales at a local church about 4 miles from my home. I went to that this morning. Today is the first Sunday, and they usually do this on the first and third Sunday of each month. Well, I'm glad I went because for $1, I was able to fill a bag with 30 books, and it's been a great way to expand my media inventory. And I'll be busy the next week or so adding that inventory to my eBay listings that currently stand at about 2005 or so books, games, puzzles, but mostly books. It's a great way. I go to estate sales, garage sales, library sales, and now church sales. And these church fill-a-bag sales are an extremely quick and good way for me to use very little of my cash flow that I have on hand to purchase inventory that I can sell at a good margin. In the last couple of days, I've sold 3 books. It had been very slow for a while, but what I did was I switched all my listings for books to free shipping, hoping that would entice some people to take a look at some of my items. And I think it's worked because I've got 3 sales in the last as many days where I'd gone a couple weeks or so without any sales. This being the period of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, etc., I thought this would be a great time. I normally would run 25 to 30% sales on my book items, but the last couple of months I've tried to experiment and not done any sales, and I'm just trying this tactic of free shipping to see if that factor alone can produce more sales. And so far, so good. Like I said, I have about 5 or 10 above 2,000 items, and it's taken me a good 2 years or so to build that inventory. Initially, what I sold was fly tying items because I learned how to tie flies, and I was selling some of the flies that I initially mass produced, and I sold it nationally and sometimes internationally. But it was very labor intensive. It was hard on my back and my neck. And I developed an arthritic condition, so I decided to try a different niche. And I'd been going to these local thrift stores, especially Christian bookstores, and I met a man who showed me that he was selling books and it was quite lucrative for him. Books have a surprisingly high margin of return. And I thought, okay, this would help curb my arthritic conditions. The only heavy part about it is lifting boxes of books as I store them. I just came back from a storage where I store several hundred books and I had to move several boxes around. And that was labor intensive, but it's labor intensive and it's good for my heart and my brain after I'm recovering from the strokes. And it's good exercise, and it's a few minutes and it's over with. I get a good workout. I found the book I was looking for, thank God. There's nothing as frustrating as making a sale and then not being able to find the item that I've sold. I keep 2 sets of inventory, an old school composition notebook, handwritten, inventory, and I also have a computerized inventory. I should graduate to Excel so that I can find out at a glance just by typing in a title where that particular book might be. But I just haven't had time to develop the programming for that. And maybe in time I'll do it. I'm about due to get a new computer this coming year, 2026. That'll be a gift to myself and my wife, as we both use the computer quite a bit to do our finances and our eBay work. And now that I'm doing YouTube, I'd like to kind of like complement my iPhone with a good computer that can do some editing. Right now, I'm doing very little editing because, as I've mentioned many times on this channel, I am just tech challenged, at the worst, tech retarded. So I'm trying to do everything simple on a shoestring budget. And once I get monetized, hopefully sooner than later, I hope to reintroduce some of that money and reinvest it back into my YouTube business and make the YouTube efforts a second stream of income to complement my eBay income. And already, I don't know if you can see it or not, but in my description box, I usually add a link to my eBay store just to get people accustomed to the fact that I'm trying to work the two together. Anyway, back to this fill bag sale that I attended today. For $1, I was able to fill a cloth bag. And I use cloth bags rather than plastic bags because plastic bags will rip quite easily with a little bit of books in it, like 5 pounds or more, and the bag will start ripping. So I take a strong cloth bag with me. Sometimes the lady who's collecting money looks at me funny, like she can't quite figure out what to charge me, $1 or $2. So often she'll do either. She'll charge me $1 or $2, depending on the kind of day she's having. It's arbitrary, but I don't care. Even at $2, I'm getting a great bargain. So I wanted to share with you today what I got this morning at this fill-a-bag sale, and I was quite happy with the results. So I'll turn this camera over in a minute so that I can film what I got. Thank you. Thanks for being here, by the way. Okay, so right off the bat, there are these 9 books. I don't know if you've watched, but it's kind of a baby boomer thing perhaps at this point. But Little House on the Prairie was a very popular series on TV, and it was written by Laura Ingalls Wilder. And I've tried to put these books in order in the slipcover that it came in, but I was thankful to find this already in the slipcover. From experience, I've known that books that I can buy that already come with a cardboard slipcover, as you see here, tend to sell well because a lot of parents of young children are looking for a convenient way to purchase books and then put them up on their personal library shelf. This is very neat, and it's in order. As you can see, the different titles: Little House in the Big Woods, Little House on the Prairie, Farmer Boy, On the Banks of Plum Creek, By the Shores of Silver Lake, The Long Winter, Little Town on the Prairie, These Happy Golden Years, and The First 4 Years. So this adventure, this Western Old Frontier adventure series, written in the form of memoirs by this young girl who starts writing when she's very young, all the way to when she's married. And this last book, The First 4 Years, addresses her marriage to a young boy that grows up. They grow up together and they get married and they move on to their own homestead. But it's a wholesome series, kind of like in the vein of the Hallmark Channel type of movies. They're G-rated, family-oriented, family-friendly. And you pick up a lot of good values. The actors in the series were very good, and I believe Christian-oriented people that they showed a lot of good family values, the mother and father were kind to each other and to their children. And it's just a good series. And I imagine for your youngsters or for other people's youngsters, it's a good series to read. So anyway, I'm going to add this to my inventory on eBay in the next week or so. So there's 9 books right there. And then, having had recent good blessings with selling a cookbook, I bought 2 more cookbooks, 2 international cookbooks. The first is the Encyclopedia of Chinese Cooking by Kenneth Lowe, and the second is At Home with the French Classics by Richard Grossman. Richard Grossman is an American, I believe, but he's introduced French cooking to the American public, and he's very popular. So these are 2 good books, and I'm going to list them probably in the $29.55 range. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, I'm opting to do free shipping as an attraction to customers to purchase my books. So those are 2 more nonfiction books that I've invested in. And I've also invested in 2 novels. And what attracted me to these 2 novels, they were written by the same man, Leon Uris, who is a prominent novelist. And Trinity, the book on the left, is about Ireland, and Redemption continues the story of Trinity. So I thought these would be appropriate for bundling and selling together. I will probably list these for something like $49.33 or $59.10. I haven't decided yet. But again, offering free shipping. And they're quite heavy, so they'll be about 4 or 5 pounds by the time I package them. And so that's an attraction to buyers when they see free shipping. I also bought this, included this Bible in my filler bag. I sell a lot of mini Gideon Bibles, so I'm going to add this to my next set of 10 or 12. And I just call this color Orange Splash. Seems to define it quite well. And then I've got a series of books that I'm going to bundle as well because they're written by the same author, Lois Lowry. I'm not familiar with this series, but it looks to be from the point of view of a young girl. You'll see her in the back there. She looks to be a preteen or a teenager. And she's got a young brother named Sam who's probably quite the rascal. So there are 4 books in this particular offering. And they're probably numbered, but I don't see the numbers offhand. But I think 4 books is a good start for a young reader who is interested in reading chapter books. And you see the titles that All About Sam, Anastasia at This Address, Anastasia Absolutely, and See You Around, Sam. Again, written by Lois Lowry. So I bundle books that are of the same series or written by the same author. Those are good factors for bundling. Now this next bundle, I've sold in a complete set of, I think they come in a set of 6. Excuse me, a set of 8. I've got here numbers 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I'm missing books 3 and 4, which is too bad, but it's an incomplete set, but I still think it'll be appealing. The main character is a guy named Bucky Stone. He's a high school Seventh-day Adventist. And this particular series about Bucky Stone is entitled Spring Break Series. And it talks about him getting involved in baseball and swimming and surfing. A young woman from Australia purchased the complete set that I sold about a couple months ago for her son. So I know this set of books has global appeal as well as national appeal. So I'm pretty confident when I list them, even in an incomplete set that they'll draw some attention. And now I come to the niche that I sell the most in, and that's the religious and spiritual niche. I like this particular author, Morris L. Venden. Similar to Martin Luther, he talks a lot about righteousness by faith, that salvation is a gift of grace from God, and it's not something we can earn, and I agree with that philosophy. I believe good works are the result of the grace, not the means to salvation, but the result of the thank you to God. I think about the scripture verse that goes something like, "Let your light so shine before men that they see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." Good works should always be part of our ability and opportunity to thank God for what He's done for us. Again, good works is not a means of earning our way to heaven. It's a means of thanking God for what He's given to us in grace. So Here I Come, Ready or Not addresses Jesus' second return and the persecution ahead in the end times, and how to be prepared for that. Thus the name Here I Come, Ready or Not. I've mentioned this woman author before, and you can check this out with Wikipedia or Google or whatever your search engine is. Ellen G. White is the most globally published female author of nonfiction in the world. And that's historical. She was one of the founders of the Seventh-day Adventist denomination. And I'm not proselytizing or pushing the Seventh-day Adventist denomination on anyone, but I just wanted to share that forms a big niche in the books that I sell. I sell a lot of spiritual and religious books, as I mentioned, and a lot of it from the denomination of the Seventh-day Adventists. Because in my book searches, I find a lot of Seventh-day Adventist books. And I find that they're very popular all over the world. This particular series comes in 3 books, but I only found the first 2, Mind, Character, and Personality. And I'm very interested in it because I'm recovering from stroke. I've been recovering for the last 3 years and 9 months. And I've attempted to strengthen my mind, my speech, my personality, and hopefully my character as well, by reading a lot about how spiritual involvement, like reading one's Bible, memorizing verses, can complement God's healing of one's mind, heart, and body. And I know I've been more at peace since a turning point event of my strokes in February of 2022, because it's in pursuit of peace. I wanted to give my life to the Lord more, to get to know Him better. And what I discovered was the second most important date in my life is the day that I discovered why I was born. And perhaps, arguably, the day that I was born is an important date. But next to that is the day that I discovered why I was born. I believe all of us were created by God for His singular purpose of glorifying Him. When we think about the week of creation, everything that He created, God thought about it, He pondered it, and He saw that it was good. For example, let there be light. And He called the light day, and the darkness He called night. But He saw that it was good. God calls things into action just by speaking it. When He helped me recover from my strokes, He created new brain neurons, and I'm going to honor His work by feeding those neurons with good things. I try to do so by reading 5 pages in my Bible each morning, meditating on His Word, committing things to memorization, and reading good things. About 40% of the books that I buy, I try to read. I don't just sell things. I want to be sure that what I'm selling is in keeping with my beliefs. Doesn't always work out that way, but for the most part, I believe I've been blessed. Okay, so what else do we have in this bag? Ah, yes. Here's a classical drama of the ages, and it also addresses the end days and Christian living and how to prepare for the persecution ahead. There's a beautiful color picture in the frontispiece. It was written by William Henry Branson, and it comes in several different editions, but I like this one because of the illustrations in it. And there are topics by chapter and by different bold-faced headings, and I try to find a topic that interests me to read and study. So anyway, there you have it. Oh, here's another juvenile series called The Boxcar Children. You've probably heard of them. I've sold a few sets of these, and I only have 2 issues of this, number 2 and number 43, but I'm going to bundle them together and offer them to a prospective buyer. These are very small, simple chapter books, very thin, somewhat illustrated. So I probably put 2 of these together for about $20 and see what happens. So, just to review, twice a month, this church, about 4 miles from my home, has a fill-a-bag sale, and I try to get there so I can pick up media. And by media, I mean books, mostly, sometimes journals or magazines, and every now and then, audio cassettes, which a lot of people like because when making those long commutes to and from work, they can pop an audio cassette in or an 8-track and listen to it and learn something. So that's part of my media inventory. And all of these items, again, like I said, came out to $1. There are 30 of these items altogether. So that comes out to 3 1/3 cents a piece. I'm going to list the singular items for 3 cents. And if like these 2 come together, so that'll be 6 cents. Same with this, 6 cents, 3 cents, 3 cents, 18 cents. And then, of course, because of the fractions, the decimal fractions, I'm going to only total 63 cents, but I'll list this for 37 cents to make up the difference of that $1. What I do is, in this spiral notebook, I'll write down the date, the destination, or the source of my book buy. Like, for example, today's date in CC for the church's name. And then I'll list the different titles. And as I sell them, I'll take note of the simple bookkeeping, like how much I spent on an item, so that I get an idea of the margin of return, which is important to me as I move ahead and buy further inventory. It's my business premise that the profitability of selling something is not at the point of sale, but at the point of purchase. So I try to buy a lot of my books as inexpensively as possible, thus honoring and preserving the cash flow and making sure that I budget myself well and don't overspend. And it's working out well for me. It's helped pay for half our trips to see our grandchildren And that's the biggest incentive. In my retirement years, and especially since the strokes occurred 3 years and 9 months ago, I am very motivated to see my grandchildren grow up. So I try to watch my health, take good care of myself, eat well, and again, feed my mind good things. My mind, heart, and soul, I want them to be taken care of. I want to help God take care of me as long as possible. I'm 73, and part of my audience on YouTube is my future self 12 years from now at the age of 85, whom every now and then I congratulate for having had the sense to start your YouTube channel 12 years ago when you were 73 in 2025. In the year 2037, my youngest grandson, who will be born next May, will almost be a teenager. My second youngest grandson will be a teenager. And my two granddaughters will be respectively 23 and 15 years old. I also have three grandsons from a firstborn son in Hawaii, and they will be in their 20s and 30s. And God willing, and only God knows, but who knows, right? I may even be addressing, along with my future family in their future ages, maybe a great grandchild. Wouldn't that be wonderful? But that's part of the blessing of doing YouTube. Even if one never gets monetized, there are other blessings. For example, this becomes a legacy to share with my descendants so that they will know what Grandpa was about, what he was doing back in the year 2025 and beyond. I wish I could go back in time and see what my grandparents looked like, what they did, what they thought, what they kept themselves busy with. Well, my future family will have this as part of the legacy. And that in itself gives me an abundant blessing. I'm so grateful for God's abundance in my life. So I pray, thank you, Holy Spirit, for the abundance that I receive on a daily basis. And by abundance, I don't always mean financial abundance. I also mean the abundance of life, joy, loved ones to share that with. I'm thankful for every single day. I hear people comment how they hate having another birthday because they're getting older. I'm just the opposite. I bless and I'm thankful for every year that I add to my life. It's 1 year closer to the year 100. I'm going to set that as a goal and think positivity towards that and ask for God's blessing. And who knows, right? But in the meantime, I'm going to keep selling on eBay as much as I can and work as hard as I can towards that next trip to see the grandkids. And I'm going to keep producing these videos because somebody out there is getting some significant or insignificant value from it. And if you're that person, please, I invite you to subscribe to my channel because it'll help my channel to grow. If monetization comes about from subscribing and from watch time, then I kindly ask you to consider doing that for me. In any event, I wish you the very best. Happy holidays. I'm trying to teach my granddaughter how to say Merry Christmas in Hawaiian, and that'll be another video, how to say Merry Christmas in Hawaiian. Many of you know how to do that already, but I'm going to add that to my Hawaiian language playlist because I think it's a very poetic way to say Merry Christmas. Anyway, aloha and mahalo for joining me in this video tonight. And I look forward to doing the next fill-a-bag sale for you in a couple of weeks. I will also provide you with updates as I sell these books that I feature here. I will link this particular video to the videos I make of the sales of these books so that you can have a record, so to speak, of how it all ties in. Should you ever be interested in becoming a bookseller yourself on eBay or some other platform. But for now, this is Joe signing off. Aloha and mahalo, everyone. God bless you. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining me here. I appreciate you. Good night.